There's a reason the Foo Fighters' third drummer turned out to be their last. Even for a musical perfectionist like Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins was the perfect fit. For the next 25 years, he would be known as the long-haired, board-short-wearing drummer of one of the world's biggest rock and roll bands, the Foo Fighters, where he's even been known to steal the show from time to time. We caught up with Taylor back in 2014 when he formed a heavy metal side project called Birds of Satan. Being a musician, having the comfort of the Foo Fighters, is it easier to pursue these projects?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't, it gives you that cushion because you have this other thing that you do that you make a living doing, and pays the bills quite well. So I get to sort of indulge myself with all my little flights of sort of fancy and my self-indulgent little side projects. But that are based out of fun,
According to reports, Taylor's body was found Friday in his Columbia hotel room. The Foo Fighters were on a South American tour at the time of his passing. This was the last known time he took to the stage, March 20th in Argentina. Taylor Hawkins was 50 years old and the father of 3 kids.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Well, what a tragic day, right? The entertainment business, the music industry, brings us nothing but tragedy over and over again. No coincidences to be seen here at all. Oh wait, there are plenty. As Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins tragically, mysteriously of course, passes away at the suspiciously young age of 50 years old and follows suit with many other Hollywood celebrities of being found unconscious in a hotel room. So where do we start with this, right? Because of course the first thing everyone thinks of is this a sacrifice, right? Well, those are always things that you could think about. And you might say, well, Call, every time somebody passes, who are you and why do you do a video and just go after them? Well, for starters, people like this who worship Satan, I don't have remorse for them in covering topics like this, but let me show you the coincidences. How's this? Let's start here, because there's plenty. Make sure you listen to them all. And yeah, some of them include the magic potion. But let's start with this one, because this one to me is probably just the biggest coincidence, of course, of all. Recently, you may remember I covered that the band The Foo Fighters released a movie called Studio 666. Remember that? And what was the plot for that movie? What is it again?
Hey, you made this horror movie, and Dave, this was your idea, right?
It was kind of my idea, yes.
Kind of?
Well, it was my idea in that we would make a movie where band moves into creepy old house, starts making a record, the house is haunted, I become possessed, I murder the whole band and go solo.
Okay. Now,
I become possessed, I murder the whole band and go solo.
Oh, okay. Right. So David Grohl's character kills off the members of his band to start his own singles career. Interesting. This wouldn't be the first time for David Grohl either, being involved in the killing of someone from his band to start his own band, would it? I wonder where he got that plot from. Kurt Cobain, anyone? Yeah, you think it's just a story about Courtney Love? No, it's not. But that's pretty interesting, right? But that's a coincidence that this movie just came out in February. It is March, and we're a week away from the actual anniversary of the death of Mr. Cobain. Interesting, right? So the plot of that entire movie happens to be based around this. And this is how Satanists work, right? But of course, people will say that's harsh, and how could you say something like that? And how could you, this guy put everything out there? Well, let's start here. I mean, he's in a band. He formed his own singles band and broke away. Well, didn't break away, but had his own band on the side called Birds of Satan. These people just can't get enough Satan. Here he is outside of some restaurant in front of his van, with his band logo, which is the pentagram, of course, or at least he wears that on his shirt all the time. No association with witchcraft or the occult or Satanism, which are the people who are into human sacrifice that always seem to be surrounded by it, right? No. Of course not. People will just say, hey, come on, man. These are all good people. David Grohl's a great guy. He loves to throw the 666 over his eye. He's always surrounded by, how many times are you going to be surrounded by a mysterious death of a band member? Oh, this is different than Kurt Cobain? I don't know about that. Pretty shady. His death was pretty shady. And everybody knows he didn't really do it. He had a little girl. He wasn't going to do it. But they wanted to, play the whole he was depressed. And, it really, really loose ends on that story. But how about this story? This guy's 50 years old. He's found in his hotel room, which is becoming the new active shooter drill that we hear about. By that, I mean, it's just every time celebrity passes, we just hear they're unconscious in their hotel room now, right? What the other band guys, the Linkin Park guy and someone else found unconscious. They came out with stories, right? This is the new Bob Saget here, right? Bob Saget's got ridiculous wounds on his head. And he just slipped and fell on a banana peel in his room, because that happens all the time. Every time we're all in hotel rooms, right? Because for starters, they're always carpeted for the most part, unless you're in the Caribbean, maybe. But nonetheless, we're always walking around slipping in our hotel rooms. Nobody thinks like that. But what could something else possibly be? So you say, Call, you can't think like that. David Grohl's a great guy, and all right. But something is on the tip of my tongue. What is it? What could another possibility be then? At 50 years old, the young old age of 50 years old, what in the world could possibly make somebody lose their life so young? Oh, hang on a second. I remember something I covered a year ago with the Foo Fighters. Remember they had a concert and they came back? And well, let Dave Grohl tell you himself.
Dave, you talk about this, as you call it, the shared humanity of music and what it brought to you as a kid and what it brings to the people you play for. Obviously, we've had a tough stretch here where we've been off stage for a while. Now we're coming back. You've been very particular about requiring vaccinations of everybody on staff in the band, playing places where they require vaccinations. So, I've been obsessed with like Van Morrison and Eric Clapton and what the heck is going on with those guys. Do you want to reach out to them and just put your hands around Eric Clapton's blues-tested neck and say, hey, brother, we got to get this together. What are you doing here?
As we came back to start playing shows, I really felt like we're still in the learning beginning phases of this whole thing. We're not out of the woods, and I don't think anybody's entirely figured it out. But when it comes to my band and my crew, we try to, we want to make it as safe of a place as possible to see the music, to listen to the music. So, I think different bands have different policies and they do it different ways. And we just kind of do it the way that we do it, the way that we hope keeps everyone safe.
600 fans are here at the Canyon Club in Agora Hills for their favorite band, the Foo Fighters, kicking off their tour in this small venue for their California fans.
Feels good to be out here with our Foo family and ready for the show.
How exciting is this for you? We've been without concerts, without a lot of things for more than a year.
It's so exciting. I'm a concert addict, so just having everything shut down, no shows, no anything, it's heartbreaking for everything to come back, no masks, no anything.
Look at this crowd. Now, here's what's important here is that this entire crowd has been vaccinated. They had to show proof of vaccination.
It feels so great to be without a mask. Everybody's vaccinated. The Foo Fighters are opening up California.
I'm not over it. I brought my mask just because I'm used to it.
Oh, right. They had that concert, and they had to make sure everybody who attended, of course, rightfully so, was vaccinated. Right. And David just let us know, of course, that his whole band is and was. And of course, there'll be people that defend that and say, hey, he was just saying he was and he wasn't, or they'll say that you can't make any proofs on that. Well, the only thing you could say is the ripe old age of 50 years old, when people are starting to drop dead, and 5 days before, here he is at a concert performing perfectly fine, singing, top of his lungs, looks to be in great health, great shape. Guy looks like he's in pretty good shape. He doesn't look overweight, right? He doesn't even have white hair. He maybe dyes it, but he looks like he's pretty pristine shape. So who would croak at the age of 50, when they're fine a few days early, oh, right. There's people who have been. Something just seems to happen with their hearts. But I wonder what story will come out of it, right? What story could we possibly hear? Are we going to hear that he slept in the hotel room? Or are we going to hear that he was depressed and was suffering from mental health issues and was using, depressants and I guess maybe overdone it on him, overdosed on him? Or was he doing some type of sexual thing with the bathroom door and a belt? I mean, they're running out, really, of excuses to use for these mysterious deaths of a lot of these famous people. Because, you would think all these famous people who are filled with money. Now, we know that money doesn't buy happiness. We know storing up treasure on earth is meaningless and worthless, and people are going to find that out very, very soon with what is coming here to America. But these people have it all, right? He's got millions of dollars. He's rich. He's famous. He could have any woman he wants. He could go anywhere in the world that he wants. He can do anything that he wants, just like the other guys in Lincoln Park. And they just, I don't know, they just get depressed all of a sudden. I mean, I know that we have the 5G towers up. I know there's a lot of radioactivity going on that is making people depressed, the EMFs and everything else going on, but I don't know if it's really affected him all the way out in Colombia where they found him, and a couple days prior, he was running around pretty healthy. So you have to factor in the two things, right? You have to factor in, I don't know, the coincidences with David Grohl and his movie, David Grohl and Kurt Cobain, an entire movie plot about a guy who kills off his whole band to start his own band. Interesting. Will David Grohl have a singles career now? Well, the only two people who were the frontmen for the Foo Fighters were the two of them, because every time there was an interview, for the most part, it was just those two who showed up. Maybe Grohl got a little jealous, right? Or maybe he was due to make another sacrifice. Maybe his contract expired from the first one that he made, and maybe that's why they rushed in, them getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all these things in the past year, when you just go, huh? Right? People are wondering, how are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Pat Benatar's not, right? Oh, that's just me, sorry. I'm just kidding. Rushed him in, maybe the contract was expiring. Maybe Grohl had to make another offer, because that's how it works for the most part with these people. And when your contract's up, if you don't make the sacrifice, then you become the sacrifice. So what happens to a lot of these guys. Really? The Robin Williamses of the world? But if you don't want to take that route, and you want to say, hey, it was a naturally occurring thing, then it was only natural to look in to maybe something that he did with his body, or you could also look at it and say, well, this guy was really, really surrounded by a lot of people who were vaccinated and could have been jetting onto him if he wasn't, or of course, you could just look at the fact that this guy was completely surrounded by Satanism and the occult, like all of them are. He's got the pentagram. He's got a band, Birds of Satan. They sure love Satan. The movie 1 month ago, Studio 666. I mean, you can't make it up with these people. You can't. And how obvious this stuff is. It's literally the plot of a movie that came out a month ago. It's the plot of the movie they just released, okay? But of course, these people are so dumb, they'll just say, well, that's just an insane coincidence. Call, how dare you do this to this guy? Oh, right. It's an insane coincidence when a 50-year-old just drops dead. Then you don't want to look at the fact that, well, Grohl's surrounded by this stuff all the time. And he just came up with the idea. He's the one who wrote the movie. He said so himself. It was his idea. Nobody else wanted to do it, probably because it's a really horrible script and a horrible concept, and it's a snooze fest. But they did. And Grohl became demonically possessed and killed off his band members. Man. But those are coincidences, right? Same with a 50-year-old who happens to be fully magic potioned. I don't know. You tell me. Let me know in the comment section what you think about all this stuff. And of course, as always, whenever there's a celebrity death now, somebody who's in their, younger, not like, some 80-year-old person, it'll always be something like found in their hotel room. And these idiots just don't see through it. And they go, we don't need to change the script because we have such a dumbed down country and world now that we could just say, hey, people that call for an uprising are crazy conspiracy theorists. How dare they even bring something like that up? Let's censor them. Let's cancel them instead of actually addressing the huge elephants in the room in this situation. Unbelievable.